Ugh, some Marvel bad guys should come with cheat codes as a prerequisite, am I right? I mean, how are you supposed to defeat Thanos, the Mad Titan, when he has a glove that can dissolve people from existence like a bath bomb? Sure, you can try pressing up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, but he'd probably flatten your face before you got a chance to do it, right? But what if we told you that some of Marvel's toughest foes had some surprisingly huge weaknesses? Welcome back to the Binger, guys, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Marvel villains who are weaker than you think. From mommy or daddy issues to fear of the elements, these villains may look invincible on the outside, but we're here to show you that even the toughest of them has an Achilles heel.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni!
As the comics and movies have shown us, when equipped with a gem-filled Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos is terrifyingly powerful, manipulating reality, time, the mind, and everything in between there. He's a one-man army of physical and magical power. So, how does one take down this immovable object? Well, effectively, you don't. He does it himself, through self-doubt and anxiety. Seriously? There are many times throughout Thanos' tyranny where the Titan has seemingly had the upper hand and all hope is lost, but somehow he ends up being defeated, and a huge part of that has been caused by himself, be it his feelings of unworthiness towards his omnipotence or merely his arrogance. I mean, Nebula essentially took the Infinity Gauntlet off of Thanos' hand while his physical form was asleep, as he believed that he had defeated all of his enemies. Come on. What a basic mistake. Thanos could also potentially be manipulated for his love for death, the embodiment of death that is, and his quest to impress or win her affection is yet another exploration of his self-worth, or lack thereof. His biggest flaw, though, is definitely the fact that he himself does not feel worthy. This emotional instability means self-doubt is always rattling around in the back of his mind, meaning he may never fully achieve his true potential. So if you ever come face to face with the big purple guy, just throw some deprecating comments his way and shake your head in disapproval. He'll probably just drop the gauntlet and beg you to be his friend. While he may function as an anti-hero at times, there's no denying that Venom predominantly represents the darker side of the yin and yang of the Spider-Man universe. I mean, this symbiote has done some seriously bad things.
Wait, this thing looks delicious.
And whether it's in the comics or the movies, Venom always seems to explode onto the scene with overpowered abilities, unparalleled aggression, and unpredictable attacks. Combine that with the fact that the Venom symbiote can amplify and duplicate powers and abilities of its host, past and present, including Spidey's powers, and you start to seriously fear for Peter Parker's friendly neighborhood webbed head. However, if you come prepared, the seemingly unstoppable force of Venom is actually pretty easy to thwart. Perhaps Venom's most well-known weaknesses are loud noises, particularly sonic ones, and fire. So something like an explosion is going to be absolutely devastating for the black and white wall crawler. But even loud music has made Venom come undone on multiple occasions, as has something as insignificant as a single lit match. But that's not all. Venom has also been known to be foiled by poison, specifically from the Xenophage's alien race, and electricity, not to mention the power-sapping anti-Venom symbiote. Arguably, the most surprising weakness, though, is chocolate, or lack thereof. Yeah, you heard that one right. In some variations of the character, Venom needs to consume phenethylamine to keep his mental state in check, and this can be found in human brain tissue, and chocolate. Sure, Venom can always grab a bite of, well, someone's head, but if you stick and move enough and keep the candy bars locked away, Venom will lose his mind and give you a chance to take him down. You know what? Before we go any further, we wanted to just cover a few other key Spider-Man villains too, especially given Venom's elemental weakness to fire. So there's Maxwell Dillon, or Electro, who can harness terrifying amounts of electrical energy and zap pretty much anything into submission. However, water is ultimately his undoing. Think spilling water on an electrical device. Yeah, not a good idea. Sandman is the same. I mean, sure, he can morph his body into colossal-sized structures and weapons, but add a little water, and he becomes the sad sandcastle turned to mush when the tide comes in. And then there's the Lizard, Dr. Connor's reptilian alter ego. Superhuman strength? Sure. A big old tail to whack Spidey around with? Of course. But expose him to intense cold, and he becomes much easier to handle. Alright, moving on. Mephisto is one of the holy grails of Marvel bad guys. His potential power is so great that it almost seems unfair to pit him against any hero, or any villain for that matter. He's an extra-dimensional demon who deals in souls, corrupting whoever he can and forcing them to do his bidding. Please see Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider for reference. He's not the devil per se, but he might as well be. On paper, his abilities such as magical manipulation, shapeshifting, and superhuman everything seem to make his chances of victory pretty airtight. However, there are quite a few caveats to his powers. For starters, the Master Manipulator cannot force someone to do something without them first submitting to his will. In other words, if you can resist his manipulative strategies, then you should be fine. Same goes for your soul if it's honest or uncorrupt. Mephisto can only possess or bring souls to his own realm if they've been corrupted. So, avoid any temptations he may throw your way, and you too can avoid eternal damnation. But Mephisto's biggest limitation, and in turn potential weaknesses, is the power he possesses outside of his own realm. I mean, sure, once Mephisto has his hooks in you and he's drug you down to his home turf, you become his plaything, so to speak. But if you manage to keep your feet firmly planted on Earth, his powers are significantly limited, and in fact, the longer that he stays out of his own realm, the weaker he gets. Who said good deeds don't pay? So, we've talked about the self-inflicted emotional weaknesses of Thanos, with self-doubt constantly hanging over his head. But what about billionaire Victor Von Doom? What are his flaws? Well, his powers may not have been fully explored in the movies, but Victor Von Doom, or Doctor Doom, is a seriously formidable foe. He's taken over the world before, and his powers range from everything from summoning demons to time traveling. But we're not going to delve into his arsenal of abilities too much, because they become almost irrelevant once you start playing on his biggest weakness. And for Doctor Doom, that is his ego. An ego so big it makes Thanos' look like a small alien fruit. Yeah, that's the one. There have been many times pre- and post-battle where Doom has come undone purely down to his hubris. Not only does his arrogance make him highly susceptible to manipulation and very easily distracted, but it means he really doesn't play well with others, as his sense of superiority takes over, ultimately meaning he can't have allies, at least not for very long. So some good old reverse psychology could go a long way to defeating Doom. Something like, hey, I bet you I can't defeat you. As hand-to-hand combat goes, the enigmatic billionaire Sebastian Shaw is a pretty tough nut to crack. Even if you're equipped with devastating powers, they may just end up being your undoing against Shaw. And that's because his main power is absorbing kinetic energy. The more kinetic damage he takes, the stronger he becomes. So, if you intend on giving him 50 punches to the face and a shotgun round to the chest, expect to get it all straight back at you, but with interest. But from a weakness point of view, the important word here is kinetic. Shaw harnesses kinetic energy, which he stores and uses against his enemies. He can harness it from attacks made on him, or he can simply collect it from punching a wall, for example. But let's take kinetic attacks out of the equation. If you wanted to take Shaw down, all you'd really have to do is avoid dishing out any physically significant blows. Now, yeah, he could have pent-up energy, ready to let loose, but if you manage to tire him out or find out that he's used up all of his stored energy, he's just a regular guy. This is where things like psychic or poison attacks could render him helpless. You could go another way on it though, and try to overload Shaw's energy storage, basically attacking him with significant force relentlessly. But this is a very risky prospect. You're better off just walking up to the guy and dealing with things a little more Machiavellian. The scale of Galactus' power will truly send shivers down your spine. He possesses the power cosmic, which is to say that he has nearly limitless godlike abilities, and he has a penchant for planets. Put it to you this way, in Star Wars terms, Galactus is the Death Star. But he doesn't just destroy whole planets. No, he consumes them, which is to say that he eats them. Kind of. And he has a gang of heralds to help him seek out worthy meals. But it's not all hunky-dory for the destroyer of planets. Not only does Galactus have to ensure that the planet he is consuming can sustain life for his own sustenance, but he needs to feed regularly. For example, just a month after feeding on a single planet, his need to feed is so substantial that his powers are drastically reduced. After a few months, he's essentially on the brink of death. Sure, he is unbelievably strong when topped off on his necessary planet intake, but not so much when he's got those hunger pains. This villain is perhaps the most unique on this list. No, he doesn't have otherworldly godlike abilities, but if you're face to face with Taskmaster and you don't know his biggest weakness, you're gonna struggle. Big time. Taskmaster has photographic reflexes, which were enhanced when he took a super soldier serum, giving him the ability to memorize all kinds of motor skills, fighting styles, weapons proficiencies, you name it. But he doesn't just memorize it, he masters it in seconds. And this means he can essentially predict what you're likely going to do next. So if you're using jujitsu and plan on a surprise attack, he probably knows that you're going to do it before you know yourself. So how do you defeat somebody like Taskmaster? Well, for one, he can't recreate superhuman attacks. So if you can run as fast as Quicksilver, or if you're as strong as Hulk, he can't recreate that. His biggest weakness, however, is not being able to predict the unpredictable. Now true, he can recreate fighting styles, but if you don't necessarily have a set style, Taskmaster won't be able to read your next move. Take Deadpool for example. The Merc with the Mouth is renowned for his randomness, both verbally and physically, and this has led to Taskmaster's demise in the past.
How do you like this? Whoa!
So if Taskmaster tries to steal your wallet, think interpretive dance self-defense rather than karate. So you have to tell me, which villain do you think that you could best in battle? Are there any bad guys we missed out on? Be sure to let us know in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to The Binger for more awesome videos like this one. See you next time.